Morning, Monday, July 26th. My stomach started giving me issues last night, and I called in sick today. I don't know if I'm coming down with something, or if maybe there's mold somewhere I need to clean up again, or if I've just worried myself sick. I don't know. Either way, I'm gonna keep laying down. Hope it gets better. And good afternoon. After like 6 hours of laying around, I'm feeling mostly better. So, could still be stress or something I ate. Probably not mold, or at least not in this room. And I'm probably not sick, because the only other medicine I added was extra allergy medicine. That could be related to that. But I already called off gaming with my buddies a couple of hours ago. So to try and make it where I have still something nice this afternoon, evening, whatever, I figure I'll move ahead movie day from tomorrow to today. Just gonna do movie day a day early, because ideally I'll be feeling up to doing something tomorrow if I want. And for today, just lazing around and watching a movie seems like a nice way to have something to enjoy doing that pretty easy. I've already thought about what movie to watch, and I'll be delving into the next James Bond movie. Just gonna keep that going, because that required no thought to think about what I'm gonna watch. And that next James Bond movie is Live and Let Die, which introduces us to Roger Moore, who I am not a huge fan of as James Bond. Looking just some basic information, I think there might be one or two of his that either I've never seen, or whereas many of these I haven't seen in between 10 and 15 years. If I've seen his other ones, they've been longer than that. But Live and Let Die might not be too bad. I don't remember it all that well. But this is the one in Louisiana with the whatever witch doctor kind of thing, and I'm like, oh, I have recollection of at least some cool elements to it. So now I have some hopes up, because I'm gonna try to enjoy them. I've been bad-mouthing Roger Moore's run as 007 for a while. But I'm hopeful that there'll be at least some good ones amongst it, even if, as a whole, it's not as good. But yeah, so I'm gonna watch Live and Let Die. And I would give Live and Let Die 7.2 out of 10. It's not terrible. Actually on par with a lot of the other standard James Bonds that have come before it. From the back of the box, James Bond battles the forces of black magic in this high-octane adventure that hurtles him from the streets of New York City to Louisiana's Bayou Country. With charm, wit, and deadly assurance, Roger Moore steps in as Agent 007 and takes on a powerful drug lord with a diabolical scheme to conquer the world. There's some cool scenes. There is magic. It is a setting that assumes magic, which isn't in the world of James Bond. That has not been an assumed situation before. Now much of it is explained, but Bond girl Solitaire apparently had some sort of ability to foretell the future with tarot cards until James Bond tricked her into having sex with him, thus removing her power. And what is the guy's name? Simon Bandy, whatever, one of the henchmen for the bad guy, the one that lives and is seen at the end, still there, is from Voodoo Legend. And, you know, they play it off as always just a performer, and some of his tricks are, you know, left to be, but, you know, there's other points where he dies and he keeps coming back, and so, yeah. So there's that. That's odd. There is no Q, although he's mentioned, but because of the way things are done, when gadgets, one setup of a gadget is described beforehand, 3 or 4 gadgets end up used without being explained before they're used. Yeah, whatever. The overall plot is this drug lord, using, you know, in the Caribbean, growing massive amounts of opium with the idea of freely flooding the market, increasing the number of addicts, forcing the existing drug dealer organizations out of business, as it were, and then monopolizing opium, which is a similar almost plot to Goldfinger. Yes, I'm going to, you know, have wealthy gold, but not by stealing all this gold. I'm going to do something weird that's unexpected so that the gold I have is worth more. I mean, it's the same thing. Also has sharks. So there's some definite ties to that movie, which makes sense because that was a very successful Bond movie. So they tied back to that. Also, the end scene on the train felt very From Russia with Love. So there were definitely some ties to some previous movies. You can almost tell they're afraid. They're introducing a new Bond, and they're afraid. They're afraid it's not going to work out. Because they felt maybe that was the issue last time. I felt George Lazenby was quite good. Movie didn't turn out so well received. They blamed him. They're afraid that's going to happen again. So they did use some formula that was tried and true. They had tested. Quirrell Jr. is in here. Which is to say, the son of the Quirrell from Dr. No. And with some lines in there, this ties it to Roger Moore is the same James Bond that Sean Connery, and as such, George Lazenby was. So we are continuing with the same character. Because logically, some point through here, the character has to split, and it's a different James Bond. That's obviously something that happens at some point. I don't know where, or if it's clear, but they have made it clear that this is the same James Bond. This is the same character, just a different actor. And they've done that with Felix Leiter, time and time again. Other characters. Felix Leiter's in it. Definitely a lot of American interaction here between New York and New Orleans. Some great ties there. The alligator farm was fun. That was a fun scene, and one that when they start going to it, I'm like, oh, I remember that. The big chase, they have a couple, but the big chase is a boat chase, which they managed to make exciting. Yeah, I mean, interesting story that while still eccentric, is not following a overarching, like, this is a villain for multiple movies. They've stepped away from the Spectre Blofeld story, and like they did with Goldfinger, this is a story about, this is a drug war. This is a single, you're dealing with this villain that's doing this thing. And I like it. I enjoy that. That was nice. But, it's an alright movie. We'll see how well he does as he continues. Because this is one of the ones that I remembered. I don't think that one was too bad. And I liked some of the voodoo stuff. I do feel that the way that he tricked Solitaire was, he tricked her by stacking the deck of tarot cards with all lovers. All the same card. Which is clever, but using it to trick her into getting into bed with him just feels very creepy. She didn't seem to mind, once told. And you can tell from his scene there and with, was it Ruby? The other Bond girl? He's definitely playing up the characterization of using sex as a tool. Not necessarily something that, he's just getting off his jollies. He's trying to use it to obtain information, get what he wants. They do at least play that angle well enough. Which is particularly useful in scenes where it's like, otherwise I'm like, that's creepy. Anyways. Otherwise, I'm gonna continue to relax, have a lazy day. Again, the goal is, I watched a movie today to free up the afternoon after work tomorrow. I'm doing anything, but that's out of the way because that was something that I could just lay in bed and enjoy. So, oh well, that's it for today. The goal, if I have to take a day sick, is to use it to try and get well enough that I don't have to take another day sick. And that's the idea behind it, I suppose. And I'm hopeful that I won't. I suppose I end this with thank you for joining me, and joining me as my journey continues.